Okay. Now, if you will take a notice at the chat today, I have implemented what I was hoping to implement the other day. Hopefully it's good. I'm going to start the intro song, and then I will be right back. Alright. Yes, the audio is low on purpose. I didn't want to mess with it because we have the background noise for the story. I was afraid to adjust the levels, because we want to keep that background music at a certain level. But I should have just turned the audio up for the intro song. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. We are going to be finishing up our little story here, and then we're going to be rolling on into some radio shows. Hope everybody's doing well. Just got back from church. I got to get up for work at 5 in the morning tomorrow. I'm not happy about it. Knowing my nightcrawler tendency, I'll probably end up just pulling an all-nighter. I got to work 7 to 2. I walk, so it takes about a half hour to walk there. So I'm going to wake up around 5. More likely than not, I'm just going to stay up, work till 2, come home, and crash out. But I'm going to take some melatonin, and hopefully I'll wake up. So I wanted to start a little bit earlier tonight than usual on our little radio show porch stream. Now, if you guys would be so kind as to look at the screen while people are chatting, the chat box is going to pop up, and then it's going to disappear. Wait for it. Wait for it. Slowboy just commented. It should be popping up any moment now. But so hopefully that will eliminate the stupid and annoying thing where I put the chat on top of everything. It's kind of frustrating. How come it's not appearing, dude? I spent so much time on this. Where the hell is it? Oh, I put it up all the way up here. Let's bring it down a little bit and see if that helps. Testing. watch it only be my frickin' comments, and then I'm gonna have to go into the CSS editor again. hmm. What is going on here? Why is it not appearing on screen? Okay. Well, it was working, and then Slowboy showed up and she broke it. So, Slowboy, thanks for breaking our live chat here. Let me switch over here and see if that fixes it. Okay, fine. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select all, copy. Okay, now I'm going to take it away, and then I'm going to bring it back, and we'll see if that fixes it. It could just be a glitch, an OBS glitch. Browser 2. Oh, yeah, now I got to frickin' redo the pop-out chat. I want to get this working because I was really happy with it. So give me one moment. Let me just pop on over here. Exposing powerful. Oh, what am I doing? YouTube. And I'm going to give you guys a a plot synopsis before we get going. We only have probably 30 minutes left on whatchamacallit, on the story, and then we're just going to be doing radio. So I'll give a little chat synopsis for the for those of you who didn't catch part 1. It's a great story, so I highly suggest you go and check it out. It's awesome, and we were having a lot of fun with it yesterday. So if you didn't catch part 1, what are you doing with your life? Okay. There we go. See? Look at that. Now it all loaded in all at once, but then look at then it disappears. How cool is that? Right? How cool is that? I like that. I'm happy with it. So one comment will appear at a time, and then it'll disappear. So we're learning. We're learning how to do YouTube things. So if you want to see your messages, just put in a comment in the live chat, and then it'll pop up. So the story. Yesterday, the story began with, I believe his first name's Albert. It's pretty bad when the reader doesn't even know. Albert Wilmarth. Something Wilmarth. He is a professor, and basically there's a flood in the Vermont hills, and it causes a giant, the river to overrun and pour down the mountains, and bodies start showing up in the flood waters, and they are like hideous alien bodies, basically. And this causes all sorts of stirring and rumors amongst the local rustics, the hillbilly folk, to talk about how those bodies are just like the old legends that Grandma used to tell about the hidden race of evil aliens that live up in those hills. Nobody ever sees them. And so the main character is like, this is just stupid hillbillies coming up with their stupid legends. And so they basically start this big debate in the newspapers about whether or not there's anything to this or whether or not they're just rumors or whatever. And because he gained so much notoriety from his articles and essays being published in the newspaper, he receives a letter from a man who he says is thoroughly believable, basically. He seems like a learned man, he seems like a scholar, he seems like a very rational, sane person, but the letters that he receives are him telling him, hey, look, normally I would be on your side and I would believe you, but I happen to have special information about this that leads me to know that these creatures that people found are actually real, and they're terribly real, and they're basically living right next door to me. And I'm going to send you a record, and I'm going to send you some photographs I took to prove to you of what I'm talking about. So they begin a lengthy correspondence, and this guy who he's talking to, I'm blanking on his name, forgive me. This guy that he's talking to is basically scaring the crap out of him. And he's getting more and more anxious and more terrified. And then basically, all of a sudden, complete tonal shift. He's no longer terrified. He's happy. And he loves these guys. And they're his best friends. And you've got to definitely come and visit us here in my secluded little farmhouse. And bring out all of the evidence I sent you. And don't tell anybody about this. But the aliens are our buddies. He gets there, and his host, the man he's been corresponding with all this time, he's suffered a very serious asthma attack, which is leaving him feeble and unable to speak above a whisper. and also sunlight hurts him. So Wilmarth comes in, and this guy is just sitting stone like a cadaver, just sitting stone still, and he's whispering really quietly to him. And he proceeds to tell him about these aliens and how they fly through space using their giant bat wings, and they suck the brains out of living creatures who have consciousness, and they can transport the brains alive to their planet, Yuggoth, known to us as Pluto, and that he's about to take the trip. And only 5 other people in the history of the Earth have taken this trip, and he wants our protagonist to come along with him. So that's where we've left off. So now you're all about caught up, and we're gonna get to the story. I just have to send a text back really quick. One moment, I gotta mute my mic here. All right. Now let us begin. Thank you all so much for being here. Please like and share. And for those of you just arriving, like I said, we got about 30 minutes left of this story. This is part 2, and then we'll be doing a radio show. Part 8. Do not ask me how long my unexpected lapse into slumber lasted, or how much of what ensued was sheer dream. If I tell you that I awaked at a certain time, and heard and saw certain things, you will merely answer that I did not wake then, and that everything was a dream until the moment when I rushed out of the house, stumbled to the shed where I had seen the old Ford, and seized that ancient vehicle for a mad, aimless race over the haunted hills which at last landed me, after hours of jolting and winding through forest-threatened labyrinths, in a village which turned out to be Townsend. Oh, I gotta play our music. There we go. As usual, guys, let me know if the audio is too low. You will also, of course, discount everything else in my report and declare that all the pictures, record sounds, cylinder, and machine sounds, and kindred evidences were bits of pure deception practiced on me by the missing Henry Akeley. You will even hint that he conspired with other eccentrics to carry out a silly and elaborate hoax, that he had the express shipment removed at Keene, and that he had Noyes make that terrifying wax record. It is odd, though, that Noyes has not even yet been identified, that he was unknown at any of the villages near Akeley's place, though he must have been frequently in the region. I wish I had stopped to memorize the license number of his car, or perhaps it is better after all that I did not. For I, despite all you can say, and despite all I sometimes try to say to myself, know that loathsome outside influences must be lurking there in the half-unknown hills, and that those influences have spies and emissaries in the world of men. To keep as far as possible from such influences and such emissaries is all that I ask of in the future. When my frantic story sent a sheriff's posse out to the farmhouse, Akeley was gone without leaving a trace. His loose dressing gown, yellow scarf, and foot bandages lay on the study floor near his corner easy chair, and it could not be decided whether any of his apparel had vanished with him. The dogs and livestock were indeed missing, and there were some curious bullet holes both on the house's exterior and on some of the walls within. But beyond this, nothing unusual could be detected. No cylinders or machines, none of the evidences I had brought in my valise, no queer odor or vibration sense, no footprints in the road, and none of the problematical things I glimpsed at the very last. I just want to make sure that I'm at the right spot. I'm 99% certain I am. No. Yeah, we're good. Okay. I stayed a week in Brattleboro after my escape, making inquiries among people of every kind who had known Akeley, and the results convince me that the matter is no figment of dream or delusion. Akeley's queer purchases of dogs and ammunition and chemicals and the cutting of his telephone wires are matters of record, while all who knew him, including his son in California, concede that his occasional remarks on strange studies had a certain consistency. Solid citizens believe he was mad and unhesitatingly pronounce all reported evidences as mere hoax devised with insane cunning and perhaps abetted by eccentric associates. but the lowlier country folk sustained his statements in every detail. He had showed some of these rustics as photographs in black stone, and had played the hideous record for them, and they all said the footprints in buzzing voice were like those described in their ancestral legends. They said, too, that suspicious sights and sounds had been noticed increasingly around Akeley's house after he found the black stone, and that the place was now avoided by everybody except the mailman and other casual, tough-minded people. Dark Mountain and Round Hill were both notoriously haunted spots, and I could find no one who had ever closely explored either. Occasional disappearances of natives throughout the district's history were well attested, and these now included the semi-vagabond Walter Brown, whom Akeley's letters had mentioned. I even came upon one farmer who thought he had personally glimpsed one of the queer bodies at flood time in the swollen West River, but his tale was too confused to be really valuable. When I left Brattleboro, I resolved never to go back to Vermont, and I feel quite certain I shall keep my resolution. Those wild hills are surely the outpost of a frightful cosmic race, as I doubt all the less since reading that a new ninth planet has been glimpsed beyond Neptune, just as those influences had said it would be. Astronomers with a hideous appropriateness they little suspect have named this thing Pluto. I feel beyond question that it is nothing less than Knighted Yuggoth, and I shiver when I try to figure out the real reason why its monstrous denizens wish it to be known in this way at this especial time. I vainly try to assure myself that these demoniac creatures are not gradually leading up to some new policy hurtful to the earth and its normal inhabitants. But I have still to tell of the ending of that terrible night in the farmhouse. As I have said, I did finally drop into a troubled doze, a doze filled with bits of dream which involved monstrous landscape glimpses. Just what awakened me, I cannot say, but that I did indeed wake at this given point I feel very certain. My first confused impression was of stealthily creaking floorboards in the hall outside my door, and of a clumsy, muffled fumbling at the latch. This, however, ceased almost at once, so that my really clear impressions began with the voices heard from the study below. There seemed to be several speakers, and I judged that they were controversially engaged. By the time I had listened a few seconds, I was broad awake, for the nature of the voices was such as to make all thought of sleep ridiculous. The tones were curiously varied, and no one who had listened to that accursed phonograph record could harbor any doubts about the nature of at least two of them. Hideous though the idea was, I knew that I was under the same roof with nameless things from abysmal space, for those two voices were unmistakably the blasphemous buzzings for which the outside beings used in their communications with men. The two were individually different in pitch, accent, and tempo, but they were both of the same damnable general kind. A third voice was indubitably that of a mechanical utterance machine connected with one of the detached brains in the cylinders. There was as little doubt about that as about the buzzings. For the loud, metallic, lifeless voice of the previous evening, with its inflectionless, expressionless scraping and rattling, and its impersonal precision and deliberation, had been utterly unforgettable. For a time, I did not pause to question whether the intelligence behind the scraping was the identical one which had formerly talked to me. But shortly afterward, I reflected that any brain would emit vocal sounds of the same quality if linked to the same mechanical speech producer. The only possible differences being in language, rhythm, speed, and pronunciation. To complete the eldritch colloquy, there were two there were two actually human voices. One, the crude speech of an unknown and evidently rustic man, and the other, the suave Bostonian tones of my erstwhile guide Noyes. As I tried to catch the words which the stoutly fashioned floor so bafflingly intercepted, I was also conscious of a great deal of stirring and scratching and shuffling in the room below, so that I could not escape the impression that it was full of living beings, many more than the few whose speech I could single out. The exact nature of this stirring is extremely hard to describe, for very few good bases of comparison exist. Objects seemed now and then to move across the room like conscious entities, the sound of their footfalls having something about it like a loose, hard surfaced clattering, as of the contact of ill coordinated surfaces of horn or hard rubber. It was, to use a more concrete but less accurate comparison, as if people with loose, splintery wooden shoes were shambling and rattling about on the polished board floor. On the nature and appearance of those responsible for the sounds, I did not care to speculate. Before long, I saw that it would be impossible to distinguish any connected discourse. Isolated words, including the names of Akeley and myself, now and then floated up, especially when uttered by the mechanical speech producer. But their true significance was lost for want of continuous context. Today, I refused to form any definite deductions from them, and even their frightful effect on me was one of suggestion rather than revelation. A terrible and abnormal conclave, I felt certain, was assembled below me, but for what shocking deliberations I could not tell. It was curious how this unquestioned sense of the malign and of the blasphemous pervaded me, despite Akeley's reassurances of the outsider's friendliness. With patient listening, I began to distinguish clearly between voices, even though I could not grasp much of what any of the voices said. I seemed to catch certain typical emotions behind some of the speakers. One of the buzzing voices, for example, held an unmistakable note of authority, whilst the mechanical voice, notwithstanding its artificial loudness and regularity, seemed to be in a position of subordination and pleading. Noyes' tones exuded a kind of conciliatory atmosphere. The others I could make no attempt to interpret. I did not hear the familiar whisper of Akeley, but well knew that such a sound could never penetrate the solid flooring of my room. For those of you who didn't hear yesterday's story, the aliens have a voice that is like buzzing. They don't typically speak, but they can speak in human language, but when they do, it's like almost like a bee or a cicada is speaking in human terms. And then the mechanical voice he's referring to is the brains. When they take the brains out and put them in these cylinders, they can plug them into speakers and to cameras, basically, and the brain's able to see and speak and hear. And that's about it. That's about all they can do. I will try to set down some of the few disjointed words and other sounds I caught, labeling the speakers of the words as best I know how. It was from the speech machine that I first picked up a few recognizable phrases. From the speech machine: brought it on myself, sent back the letters and the record, end on it, taken in, seeing and hearing, damn you, impersonal force after all, fresh shiny cylinder, great God. First buzzing voice: time we stopped, small and human, Akeley, brain saying. From the second buzzing voice: Nyarlathotep, Wilmarth, records and letters, cheap imposture. Noyes, an unpronounceable word or name, possibly Nagat Thun, harmless, peace, couple of weeks, theatrical. Told you that before. The first buzzing voice: no reason, original plan, effects. Noyes can watch, round hill, fresh cylinder, Noyes' car. From Noyes: well, all yours, down here, rest, place. And then several voices at once in an indistinguishable speech. Many footsteps, including the peculiar loose stirring or clattering, a curious sort of flapping sound, the sound of an automobile starting and receding, and then silence. He describes these aliens earlier in the story as basically they are fungi. They're more vegetable than mammal. They are basically a conscious living fungus. They have giant bat wings that they fly through space with. They have crab-like claws and arms, and they have these like tendrils that come up where a head should be. And the way that they communicate with each other, they communicate telepathically, but they also change color of the fungus on their head to communicate different emotions to each other. So when he says that the sound of like loose stirring or clattering on the boards is like their many limbs scraping against the floor. That is the substance of what my ears brought me as I lay rigid upon that strange upstairs bed in the haunted farmhouse among the demoniac hills. Lay there fully dressed, with a revolver clenched in my right hand and a pocket flashlight gripped in my left. I became, as I have said, broad awake, but a kind of obscure paralysis nevertheless kept me inert till long after the last echoes of the sounds had died away. I heard I heard the wooden deliberate ticking of the ancient Connecticut clock somewhere far below, and at last made out the irregular snoring of a sleeper. Akeley must have dozed off after the strange session, and I could well believe that he needed to do so. Just what to think or what to do was more than I could decide. After all, what had I heard beyond things which previous information might have led me to expect? Had I not known that the nameless outsiders were now freely admitted to the farmhouse, no doubt Akeley had been surprised by an unexpected visit from them. Yet something in that fragmentary discourse had chilled me immeasurably, raised the most grotesque and horrible doubts, and made me wish fervently that I might wake up, prove everything as a dream. I think my subconscious mind must have caught something which my consciousness has not yet recognized. But what of Akeley? Was he not my friend? And would he not have protested if any harm were meant me? The peaceful snoring below seemed to cast ridicule on all of my suddenly intensified fears. Was it possible that Akeley had been imposed upon and used as a lure to draw me into the hills with the letters and pictures and phonograph record? Did those beings mean to engulf us both in a common destruction because we had come to know too much? Again, I thought of the abruptness and unnaturalness of that change in the situation which must have occurred between Akeley's penultimate and final letters. Something, my instinct told me, was terribly wrong. All was not as it seemed. That acrid coffee which I refused, had there not been an attempt by some hidden, unknown entity to drug it? I must talk to Akeley at once and restore his sense of proportion. They had hypnotized him with their promises of cosmic revelations, but now he must listen to reason. We must get out of this before it would be too late. If he lacked the willpower to make the break for liberty, I would supply it. Or, if I could not persuade him to go, I could at least go myself. Surely he would let me take his Ford and leave it in a garage at Brattleboro. I had noticed it in the shed, the door being left unlocked and open now that peril was deemed past, and I believe that there was a good chance of it being ready for instant use. That momentary dislike of Akeley which I had felt during and after the evening's conversation was all gone now. He was in a position much like my own, and we must stick together. Knowing his indisposed condition, I hated to wake him at this juncture, but I knew that I must. I could not stay in this place until morning as matters stood. At last I felt able to act, and stretched myself vigorously to regain command of my muscles. Arising with a caution more impulsive than deliberate, I found and donned my hat, took my valise, and started downstairs with the flashlight's aid. In my nervousness, I kept the revolver clutched in my right hand, being able to take care of both valise and flashlight with my left. Why I exerted these precautions I don't really know, since I was even then on my way to awaken the only other occupant of the house. As I half tiptoed down the creaking stairs to the lower hall, I could hear the sleeper more plainly, and noticed that he must be in the room on my left, the living room I had not entered. On my right was the gaping blackness of the study in which I had heard the voices. Pushing open the unlatched door of the living room, I traced a path with the flashlight toward the source of the snoring, and finally turned the beam on the sleeper's face. But in the next second, I hastily turned them away and commenced a cat-like retreat to the hall, my caution this time springing from reason as well as from instinct. For the sleeper on the couch was not Akeley, but my quondam guide, Noyes. Quondam? Wow, that's a new word for me, quondam. Okay. Somebody Google quondam, let me know what it means. My quondam guide, Noyes. Quondam. You know what? No, we're just going to do it. We're going to do it live right now. Quandom. Former, sometime. Okay, got it. Just what the real situation was, I could not guess, but common sense told me that the safest thing was to find out as much as possible before arousing anybody. Regaining the hall, I silently closed and latched the living room door after me, thereby lessening the chances of awaking Noyes. I now cautiously entered the dark study where I expected to find Akeley, whether asleep or awake, in the great corner chair which was evidently his favorite resting place. As I advanced the beams of my flashlight, the beams of my flashlight caught the great center table, revealing one of the hellish cylinders with sight and hearing machines attached, and with a speech machine standing close by, ready to be connected at any moment. This, I reflected, must be the encased brain I had heard talking during the frightful conference, and for a second I had a perverse impulse to attach the speech machine and see what it might say. It must, I thought, be conscious of my presence even now, since the sight and hearing attachments could not fail to disclose the rays of my flashlight and the faint creaking of the floor beneath my feet. But in the end, I did not dare to meddle with the thing. I idly saw that it was the fresh, shiny cylinder with Akeley's name on it, which I had noticed on the shelf earlier in the evening and which my host had told me not to bother. Looking back at that moment, I can only regret my timidity and wish that I had boldly caused the apparatus to speak. God knows what mysteries and horrible doubts and questions of identity it might have cleared up. But then, it may be merciful that I let it alone. From the table, I turned my flashlight to the corner where I thought Akeley was, but found to my perplexity that the great easy chair was empty of any human occupant, asleep or awake. From the seat to the floor, there trailed voluminously the familiar old dressing gown, and near it on the floor lay the yellow scarf and the huge foot bandages. I had thought so odd. As I hesitated, striving to conjecture where Akeley might be and why he had so suddenly discarded his necessary sick-room garments, I observed that the queer odor and sense of vibration were no longer in the room. What had been their cause? Curiously, it occurred to me that I had noticed them only in Akeley's vicinity. They had been the strongest where he sat, and wholly absent except in the room with him, or just outside the doors of that room. I paused, letting the flashlight wander about the dark study and racking my brain for explanations of the turn affairs had taken. Would to heaven I had quietly left the place before allowing that light to rest again on the vacant chair. As it turned, I did not leave quietly, but with a muffled shriek which must have disturbed, though it did not quite awake, the sleeping sentinel across the hall. That shriek, and Noyes' still unbroken snore, are the last sounds I ever heard in that morbidity-choked farmhouse beneath the black wooded crest of a haunted mountain, that focus of transcosmic horror amidst the lonely green hills and curse-muttering brooks of a spectral rustic land. It is a wonder that I did not drop flashlight, valise, and revolver in my wild scramble, but somehow I failed to lose any of these. I actually managed to get out of that room and that house without making any further noise, to drag myself and my belongings safely into the old Ford in the shed, and to set that archaic vehicle in motion towards some unknown point of safety in the black, moonless night. The ride that followed was a piece of delirium out of Poe or Rimbaud or the drawings of Dore. But finally I reached Townsend. That is all. If my sanity is still unshaken, I am lucky. Sometimes I fear what the years will bring, especially since the new planet Pluto has been so curiously discovered. As I have implied, I let my flashlight return to the vacant easy chair after its circuit of the room. Then noticing for the first time the presence of certain objects in the seat, made inconspicuous by the adjacent loose folds of the empty dressing gown. These are the objects, 3 in number, which the investigators did not find when they came later on. As I said at the outset, there was nothing of actual visual horror about them. The trouble was in what they led one to infer. Even now I have my moments of half-doubt, moments in which I half accept the skepticism of those who attribute my whole experience to dream and nerves and delusion. The 3 things which were damnably clever constructions of their kind and were furnished with ingenious metallic clamps to attach them to organic developments of which I dare not form any conjecture. I hope, devoutly hope, that they were the waxen products of a master artist, despite what my inmost fear tells me. Great God! That whisperer in darkness, with its morbid odor and vibrations, sorcerer, emissary, changeling, outsider, that hideous repressed buzzing, and all the time in that fresh, shiny cylinder on the shelf. Poor devil. Prodigious surgical, biological, chemical, and mechanical skill. For the things in the chair, perfect to the last subtle detail of microscopic resemblance or identity, were the face and hands of Henry Wentworth Akeley. And that is The Whisperer in Darkness. Woo woo! All right, y'all, we did it. I totally could have finished that yesterday. I thought we had more than we actually did. So what do we think, y'all? What do we think? What's up, Grant? What's up, Alex? What's up, K-Ram? What's up, Stay Weird? What's up, Slowboy? Thank y'all so much for coming and for listening to this great story. I hope you guys liked it. I freaking love it, dude. Love this story so much. And for those of you with poor reading comprehension, um, so when so Akeley is the man whom he was visiting and writing to. And what the hell is our protagonist's name here? I gotta jog my memory. I've got Akeley, and then what the hell is his name? Man, why am I brain farting on this? Akeley and Wilmarth. So when Wilmarth comes to the house, he's sitting there and he's talking with Akeley, and Akeley seems super weird, and he's feeling these vibrations in the room. And then the thing which he finds, and which he's constantly alluding to this whole story, is he finds the face of Akeley. What he hopes to be a waxen rubber mask, but which he deep down knows is the skinned face turned into a mask by these Migo, by these aliens. And the hands. You know what I mean? So they took his hands, they took his face, and the whole time this freaking alien is sitting in a dark corner of the room with wearing the freaking peeled off face of Akeley and wearing his hands, and he's talking he's talking to him, and the whole time Akeley's over there on the shelf. He had his brain cut out, and he's just sitting on the shelf the whole time. I mean, that is so great, dude. He goes as soon as he sees it, he goes running out of the door, and that's where we end it. Is that Mella? Slow boy. Oh hey Grant, how's it going? So I hope you guys liked it, man. I really enjoy that. So these now with the conclusion of this story, these are the two stories that I really enjoy from Lovecraft. There are more we could read, but these two, Color Out of Space and Whisper in Darkness, I think are his best works. He's got other works which are more celebrated or more popular, but for my money, it's definitely these two. And then from there, the only other ones that I would like say are really good are the very short stories. But yeah, so that was that. I hope you guys liked it, and now we will move on to our radio show for the night. Let me pop on over to OBS. And for those of you who just got here, check it out. Our little live chat function. I'm so proud of it. Let's see if it works. It broke earlier, but let's see. I haven't been able to check it out while I've been reading the story, but I gotta kind of test it a little bit because if it's broken, I can look around and see if I can find the cause of it. All right, well, we'll just play our radio show and I'll see if I can figure it out. Where are we? Not here, not here. There it is. So, I thought it would only be fitting if we listened to The Abominable Snowman from Escape. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, 1953. September 13th, 1953. Just because the Abominable Snowman are mentioned in The Whisperer in Darkness.
Tired of the everyday grind?
And thank you again to Slowboy for telling me about the what do you call it? The audio, because I know I got to turn the audio up. So let me do that now. All right.
Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
I've never heard this
We
one
offer
before.
you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Okay.
You are high on the frozen slopes of a great mountain, terrified and caught in a blizzard, while the thing for which you've been hunting has suddenly become the hunter. And if it finds you, then for you and your companions, there can be no escape.
So listen now as Escape brings you Anthony Ellis's exciting story, The Abominable Snowman.
Our first bit of luck was when we hired our Sherpa guide, Nasang. That was in Darjeeling. When I told Nasang what we were after, he hesitated for a moment. And then he said,
The Sahibs have not come to climb Shomolungma?
"Oh, no, we're a little late for that. It's already been done. The other two Sahibs and myself are here for the reason I told you."
Okay, I'm sorry, chat, but this live chat is bugging the hell out of me, so we're gonna do it live, okay? We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna ask ChatGPT to fix our problems for us and to not use our actual brains because I don't know how to code. So we're gonna run on over here and we're gonna say, "Hey ChatGPT, hey ChatGPT, my live chat isn't showing up on screen except for the very beginning when I enter the CSS. What do? What do?" We'll do that. Ah, that's a common and super fixable issue. The most likely cause is when added the fade out animation radio dissolve, each message animates to opacity 0 and stays invisible. If YouTube uses DOM elements, which it does, the next messages may appear in an already invisible element. So after the first run, the chat seems to stop. Add this to your CSS so each new message resets to visible when inserted. Okay. And then move your animation to pseudo element, wrap it up, use opacity, reset after animation. Okay. Okay, please add the fix. Okay, please add the fix. See, and the reason why I'm doing this live and not after we're done going live is because it's hard to test this unless I'm live on air. So, thank you guys for troubleshooting with me as we do this. This is the fun of OBS, the great joy of OBS. So now we're going to hop on over on my end and we can play the radio back. Where is it? I gotta X out all these extra tabs here.
Meto Kangmi?
That's right.
The Sahibs always hire me to climb the mountain with them, but never this.
Are you afraid of them?
I have seen one.
You've seen one?
Yes, many of us have seen them.
Wait a minute. Alan,
Yeah. What's up?
I'm interviewing a Sherpa in here. He says he's seen one of the things.
Hey,
Where's Frank?
went out to get some tobacco.
Yeah. All right, come on in. I think this is our man.
It broke it again. Come on, ChatGPT.
Nasang, this is Mr. Ferris.
Sahib?
Hello, Nasang.
Nasang was telling me about what he'd seen. Go ahead, Nasang.
K-Ram, what do you mean kind of like it better that way? What do you mean? Because the goal for the CSS, for the chat box, the goal is for one message at a time or, a couple messages at a time. When they come in to show on the screen for about 6 seconds and then to disappear. That's the goal. That's what we're going for. Because I also don't like having the chat just on screen the whole time because it just doesn't fit with with like the background. So that's the issue. So let's hop on over and we'll say, okay, now it appears. Now the chats appear and stay on screen without the fade out we devised. What do? Okay. We restored visibility, but its elements aren't forgetting to reappear after fading. Now we just have to re-enable the fade out without breaking. Why didn't you just do that the first time, dude? Replace this part of the CSS, live chat text messenger, with this. Okay, do that. Okay, do that. Give me the full thing. Okay, once we get this down, guys, it'll be good forever. So that's why we just have to freaking do this once. I'm sure there is a way to test this when you're not live, but I haven't figured out what it is, so.
It has a face that is evil, and when it saw me, it uttered a strange cry and bounded away, sometimes leaping, sometimes running with great strides. It was dusk, and after a moment I lost sight of it in the snow.
Where were you?
It went
With
away.
the French expedition. It was at 19,000 feet on Chomolungma.
How far were you from it?
30 feet, perhaps 35.
You're sure it wasn't an ape?
I am sure. There is no ape in the Himalaya to make such a track.
What about bears?
This too I have been asked. But does a bear walk always upon its hind legs?
Well, that's enough for me.
And does a bear shit in the woods when it is on its front legs? No, it does not. Please give me quarter.
Alan?
Yeah, he'll do.
Yeah. But if you want the job, Nasang, you're hired.
You are going to try to capture a Yeti?
Yes.
It will be a difficult thing.
Yes, you need a Snickers bar. Yeah, Slowboy says, I never understood why people put the chat on screen because you really can't see it. It's so tiny. So, Slowboy, if you're watching on the laptop, you can read it. But yeah, if you're watching on your phone, then it's kind of pointless. That's why I'm hoping to just have one message appear at a time because then I can make it big. I can make it big and legible, even from a phone, but then it'll dissolve after a couple of seconds, you know? And so that's the goal. Very simple, buddy. And Grant says, I love the voice in this. Yeah, it's good. But unfortunately, we have to do some troubleshooting because ChatGPT is giving me some guff here. Would you like me to also make a variant where the... Okay. Here is the goal, ChatGPT. Here is the goal. As he already knows because I've been doing this for 2 days now. We want each message to appear on screen for about, let's say, about 8 seconds after the user submits it. Then we want the individual message, their individual message, to dissolve. This is not happening with what you've given me. It either stays on screen the whole time or the entire chat dissolves and no new messages can be seen. Please fix this to what I'm asking. You stupid computer! Now I understand perfectly. You want per message time fade out, not a global chat animation. Yeah, dude, obviously. Gosh. Hurry up. Write this code that I would have to take a college course in order to be able to do myself. Okay. There you go. I think this should be it. I've hit the free plan limit, so if it ain't, we're screwed.
But I will serve with you.
Yeti, Wild Man, Netokangmi, Abominable Snowman. That's the name the natives had for the things, and Alan Ferris, Frank Davis, and I were going to try to get one.
Dude.
We'd all done some climbing, but climbing was secondary here.
Test-
Expeditions since the beginning of the 20th century had heard of the Abominable Snowman, observed their tracks, and one or two white men claimed to have seen them.
Not the white
Great
man.
ape, bear, monkey, wild men. We didn't know, but we were going to find out.
Bro, how much you want to bet that it's literally just because I don't pay ChatGPT? You know what I mean? It's just like with the images you ask it to generate it. If you pay, the images seem to come out better than if you don't.
4 weeks later, we were in the Rongbuk Valley for our interview at the monastery with the Lama.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the chat off the screen because I feel bad. We're just like making the radio show unlistenable, so we'll just finish it up from here.
Journey from our base had been uneventful. The weather was good and our spirits were high. From the Lama's window, we could see the great peak of Everest in the distance.
Okay. Oh, that was from the original source audio.
Why, gentlemen, do you desire to capture Netokangmi?
Because, sir, we believe it will be an invaluable aid in our prehistoric research. That is, if these things are in any way human.
And for this reason, then, you have formed the expedition?
Yes.
You are all familiar with climbing?
Yes, we are.
You would need to be. The Yeti move at high places, dangerous places, so my people tell me. Also, the monsoons are arriving in a short time.
I understand that. Then do we have your permission to investigate in the valley and beyond?
You have my permission.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
There is one point, however. I must request that no wild animal or being in this valley be shot. Our religion does not allow it.
We'll respect your wishes, sir.
We worship the cow.
Now, may I ask
we
you one
worship
more
the
thing?
cow poo-poo, and we worship the Yeti.
Of course, my son.
Do
Moldy
you
apple.
believe in...
What did you miss? You missed us reading possibly the best H.P. Lovecraft story, and you have missed the first 5 minutes of the radio show.
the existence of Netokangmi?
Oh, you also missed us trying to troubleshoot the live chat, which I'm going to sign up for ChatGPT Plus and see if I can fix it.
I myself have never seen them, but I know that they live here, above the valley, on the goddess mother of the world. It is also true that at least 5, and possibly more, inhabit the upper Rongbuk and its glaciers.
Thank you.
Do you have porters?
Our guide Nasang is hiring them now.
Yeah. I trust that he meets with good fortune.
Frickin' ChatGPT, $20 a month, dude. It's such a ripoff, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for the plot.
The old man, with great dignity, bowed slightly to us, and we were dismissed. But I thought I saw the shadow of a smile on his lips as he turned away. And it wasn't long before I found out why. Nasang returned to us in our quarters, and his face warned of bad news.
Sahib, I am unable to hire any porters.
Why not?
They know the purpose of the expedition. They
are all
will not
drunk.
go.
Why?
They are afraid.
Of the snowman?
Yes, they live in peace with them. They wish no trouble. They are afraid.
Well, all right. It'll be rough, but we can't waste time talking them into it. The monsoons will be coming in a couple of weeks. It's not the same as climbing Everest. We'll travel light, just the 4 of us, set up a base and start hunting. All right with you fellows?
Yeah, sure.
Nasang?
I will go with you. I am not afraid.
Good. Well, let's take a look at the map. Now, we'll each carry a capacity load. We should be able to make this point below the glacier in 2 days. That's 16,000 feet. And if our abominable snowmen are in the vicinity, we've got 2 weeks to find them.
When do we start?
Tomorrow.
Good.
Well, that's it.
Paul?
Yes, Frank.
One thing. What do the natives mean when they say they don't want any trouble with the things?
Superstition, probably.
Oh, no, Sahib. It is not superstition. It is because the Yeti are cannibals. That is why the porters are afraid.
The weather turned ugly the day we left the village. A cold Tibetan wind blew down from the west, and with our heavy packs, it took us much longer than we'd thought to arrive at the point just below the Rongbuk Glacier. We set up our camp and made ourselves as comfortable as we could. The next morning wasn't so bad. There was a heavy overcast, a promise of snow, and the peak of Everest looming over us was shrouded in clouds. The 4 of us sat in the tent looking at our charts and drinking hot tea.
I figured it'd be easiest if we started at the East Glacier. It's only about 3 miles from here, and with the weather as stinking as it is, we won't run too much of a risk. What do you think, Paul?
Well, that sounds all right. What do you say we split up? You and Nasang, Alan and me. We'll work up on either side of the ridge, here. And if we spot any tracks, fire 2 shots.
Yeah, good enough.
Now, the big thing, though, no matter what, don't shoot at the thing if you do see it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. If we lose touch with each other, we'll meet back here at 5. All right, let's get going. We'd left the base at 6 that morning, and the going was rough. Alan was pretty well shot by the time we got to the 17,000-foot mark. He was having a tough time breathing, and the wind had come up again. And with it, a fine, powdery snow that blinded and choked us.
Hey, I gotta take 5.
All right. Here, move over here. Might cut some of the wind.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, we might as well start back for the base. We couldn't see anything in this anyhow.
You know, right now, I don't care whether we do or not.
This is good weather. Wait until the monsoons start.
No, not me. Oh, I'm cold. I've never been so cold in all my life.
You haven't been on the porch. You think that's bad?
We stayed in the half shelter of an overhang for 10 minutes, and the wind was quieter and the snow had let up. I noticed that the tracks we'd made coming into the shelter were gone now, but we didn't have any worry finding our way back. I figured that Frank and Nasang had met pretty much the same thing on their side of the ridge, and we'd meet them at the base.
Okay, so it turns out that the problem is with YouTube's pop-out chat function. So in order to get what I want, I'm going to have to do a Stream Elements thing, but it's giving me one option for basically right this moment. So let's try the new option it gave me. And then off screen, I'm going to have to figure out like it's a whole process, dude. Okay. Where is it? Right here. All right. Sorry for, keep stopping.
So Alan and I picked ourselves up and started off.
Boy, I thought I was in pretty good shape, but up here, boy, I'm nothing. Paul, I'm tired again.
We'll just take it easy going down. You haven't got frostbite, have you?
No, not yet, but
What?
the left there.
Yeah.
They're not our tracks, are they?
Not unless you took your boots off on the way up.
Must have just passed by. It must have seen us.
Yeah. Come on. We were looking at a set of tracks newly made in the fresh snow. And they'd passed so close to our shoulder that the thing must have known we were there. They weren't the tracks of a bear or an ape, but more like a splay-footed, naked foot. The tracks of the abominable snowman.
Have I ever hiked the Adirondacks? No, actually, I haven't. I've been in Allegheny. I probably, went through the Adirondacks as a kid, but I never actually, as an adult, hiked through them. Allegheny
We will
rules.
return to Escape in just a moment, but first, 30 million school children make their way back to class this year. There are just 10 million too many for existing school facilities. Contact Better Schools, 2 West 45th Street, New York 19, for information on ending this menace to America's educational standards. And now, back to Escape.
Yes, it is the uncreated foot.
We began to follow the tracks, and for a while, perhaps 150 yards, it was easy. And then the thing made a leftward traverse down a deep slope.
I'm not going to apologize anymore because you guys already know. You guys already know what I'm doing here. Okay. Copy code.
We could see the prints clearly, angling with a sidestep,
Damn it.
as sure-footed as a mountain goat, except that it was walking on 2 legs.
This way, Paul.
Take it easy, Alan.
It's getting steeper. Boy, that thing sure can climb.
Hold up. Alan,
I think
hold it! And he dropped out of sight over the lip of the crevasse. We weren't roped together. I got as close as I dared to the edge. The loose snow crumbled away from my outstretched body. And I looked down into the blue-black darkness below, falling away into nothingness. He was gone. Finished. All I could think of was the noise he'd made when he went over. Surprised, angry, then silence. The crevasse might have been 500 feet, or 5,000. Snow started to fall again. Big flakes this time and wet. I stood up, and across the gap 20 feet away, I saw the tracks of the thing, continuing on and away until they became lost in the blank whiteness of the glacier. It had jumped and landed still upright on the opposite side. I went back to the base, and an hour later, Frank and Nassang returned. I told them, and we were quiet for a long time. Then,
Paul, are we going out again tomorrow?
why not?
I just wanted to.
We should go back. It is an omen.
I tell you, he was going too fast. He didn't have a chance to see the crevasse. That's not an omen, it's bad sense.
Metokangmi cannot be caught.
We'll catch him.
But there are only 3 of us. If we had a few more men...
I tell you, the thing was so close that if we'd looked up at the right time, we'd have seen it. You think I'm going to give up now? Next time we'll get it.
There was no chance to get Alan out, huh?
No.
You think if we went back...
Listen, you think I don't want to? He's gone. I tried, but he's gone.
Okay, okay. Wish that wind had let up.
Maybe by morning. We'll try again tomorrow. It was cold that night, and somehow colder because Alan was gone. I heard Frank tossing around, and I knew he was thinking about a body broken and lonely, lost somewhere in a deep and dark place.
But that was his wife.
In the morning, the 3 of us packed our gear, camera, food. It was a light pack. And we started up again. This time to a crest above the ridge. It was tougher than it looked, and we weren't even halfway up before we had to rest. And as I looked to the west, I saw clouds boiling up. Not white, but somber, threatening. And below, the valley looked grim, ugly gray. And then the sun was gone. And we kept on going up. And then I had a strange feeling. It was nothing I could see, nothing I could hear, only a sensation of being watched, followed. Wait a minute.
See something?
No.
I have felt it too, Sahib.
Something following us?
Yes, it is Metokangmi.
How do you know?
It can be nothing else. At this height, there is nothing else that lives.
Maybe it's curious. No, don't turn around, Frank. Listen. When we get up to the crest, you two flop down. Stay in sight of the slope here.
What are you gonna do?
Move around the hump and watch. If it thinks we're all together, it may come close enough to give us a chance to get it.
You better watch your step. It looks nasty.
I will. Now, come on. It took us another 15 minutes to get up to the crest, and then Frank and Nasang hunched down to rest. They were in clear view of the slope we just ascended. I moved back out of sight and made my way toward the hump, which backed a long shelf on the north side of the crest. In a couple of minutes, I lost sight of them and of the slope. The wind had increased, and the clouds had spread now to become an iron gray canopy over the mountain. It was getting colder again. I don't think it took over 5 minutes to reach my lookout point. And when I did, I had a perfect view of the ground we'd covered. There was nothing there. The men were out of sight. And I waited. A minute, two. There was nothing. Until...
Is that the Yeti somewhere?
It came, carried on the wind, a cry, and then
I'm trying to think if we ever listened to Escape before.
shots.
I don't
I
think
scrambled
we
back to where I'd left them. And when I got there, Frank was lying on his back, and I couldn't look at what was left of his face. There were terrible deep rents in his clothing, and he was dead. Nasang lay huddled a few feet beyond, a gun in his hand.
Sahib,
What is it? What?
Metokangmi. It came from behind us. Before I could draw the gun, it had killed. Then it sprang at me. It is strong, Sahib, with the strength of 10 men.
All right, can you sit up?
My leg, it struck at me, my leg broken. I shot at it, but I missed. It jumped away and was gone.
Okay. We'll have to figure out a way to get you down. We were 4 hours from camp, and with Nasang practically helpless, it could well be 4 days or never. I buried Frank where he was lying, then began to work down the slope. Nasang was in great pain. He half slid and crawled as best he could. That part of it wasn't too bad. Then we were at the bottom, and there was a ledge to climb. It took well over 2 hours to do that, and we still had 3 miles of difficult terrain to cover.
This is not Jerky Boys. This is Escape.
The stops became more frequent.
Sahib, leave me here. Go back.
And meanwhile, I got my face buried in my phone because I'm trying to figure out my YouTube live chat text overlay. And the way that I have to do it in order to get what I want is so freaking complicated, dude. I'm like setting up a GitHub account. I'm creating a freaking, like a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
My leg is frozen. There is no feeling anymore. I shall not live much longer.
Don't be a fool. After a rest, you'll
I
be
haven't heard the name Jerky Boys since I was like 6 years old, though.
able to go on.
Soon the night comes. If we are both caught here, we both die. There will be snow, much snow.
Then I go up
Leave
to
me.
the
No, we're
great
going back
mountain with
together.
the sky.
Please, let me sleep. Let me sleep here. I cannot go on.
You've got to, Nasang.
No, no more.
The ridge is only about a half mile. From there, it won't be too bad.
No, no, let me stay.
Nasang.
Let me sleep.
No, come on, Nasang. Come on, you're not going to sleep.
Sahib,
You'll be all right.
Behind you, Sahib.
I turned.
I'm sorry, sir. Please, please, let me stay. No, come on, Hassan, you got to come. No, I need Google Play gift card.
And for an instant, I saw it outlined against the snow, crouching.
Please let me, just bring me one Google Play gift card, sir. Please do not redeem it. Just you go to the, what's it called? Go to the CVS and just don't tell them that you are on the phone, but keep me on the line the whole time, please.
Of
Do not
medium height.
redeem, sir.
It was covered with thick hair. The face was reddish and bare, a semi-human face, and it was not an ape. The thing made a tremendous leap and was gone, but I'd hit it. I knew I hit it.
The Kangmi, that was he. Did you kill it?
No, I don't think so.
Then it will be back. It has tasted blood. You must leave me.
No, get up. Get up, come on. Let's go. The song.
I am very sorry, sir. Will you ask the Lama to make a prayer for me?
Sure. Sure I will, Nasang, but...
Give my pay to my wife in Darjeeling. I'm sorry, Sahib. I die.
Nasang?
But when he comes back, he's gonna reincarnate as the Yeti, and he's gonna frickin' push him off the mountain. Plot twist.
Nasang? And the darkness came, and with it shadows and the snow. Every hillock, mound became the thing, motionless, waiting. In my mind, I kept seeing it, its long arms, powerful, and the dreadful claws it must have possessed. I carried my gun in my gloved hand, but I knew that I couldn't fire it unless I was barehanded. And that meant my hand would freeze to the gun. And then suddenly I felt myself slipping. It was a short incline, but when I reached the bottom, the gun was gone. I'd lost it. I've got to find it. I've got to find it. And I saw a glint of metal in the snow 10 feet away. And at the same time, above me at the top of the bank, the thing. It stood swaying a little, looking down at me. I moved slowly, inched my way toward the gun. And as I drew closer, I kept my eyes looking up. But it didn't move, only stared down at me. And I thought I saw its little eyes glittering. And I thought, if the gun's frozen now, if it's frozen, doesn't fire. And I was nearer to it, near enough to take off my glove. But that moment in which I'd have to bend to pick it up, that's when it would leap down at me, tear my throat out, tear, and I had the gun and I pulled the trigger. And it lay there, strange and terrifying, its blood staining the snow. And it looked at me. Looked at me until the sound died away. It was dead, but the eyes kept on staring. It must have been the shots that loosened the snow and ice on the ridge above. I heard the sound, and I ran. It passed me and swept on down toward the valley, the thunder of it dying in the distance. And when I went back, there was nothing there. It was buried somewhere under tons of snow. I made my way back to the Wrong Book Village. I don't remember how. I didn't remember anything for 2 weeks after. But I'm alive. And I'm not going back there again. That's all I know. Or want to know about the abominable snowmen.
Escape has brought you The Abominable Snowman, written
Thanks.
and directed by Anthony Ellis, starring William Conrad as Lane. Featured in the cast were Anthony Barrett, Hy Averback, Jack Crucian, and Edgar Barrier. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are a passenger aboard a submarine making its last peaceful voyage across the sea.
I am.
While unknown to you, the captain has a plan, which, if it succeeds, will mean for you and the entire crew
Total destruction.
a fate from which there can be no escape.
So listen next week
I
when
see what you
Escape
did
will
there.
bring you Marion Mosner and Francis Rosenwald's exciting story, The Log.
The log. Log. It's log. It's big. It's heavy. It's wood. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I know I wasn't really commenting much during that. I was listening, but I was too busy stumbling and bumbling and Mr. Magooing my way through GitHub. I'm going to have to. I have no idea how to use GitHub, dude. I've never used it before. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Clontarf, you better not mention that again. Hey, Adam Sandler's the GOAT. Dude, we had the Jerky Boys cassettes. We had Adam Sandler CDs. Oh my gosh, bro. You're bringing me back to the 90s. Oh, what a blast from the past that is. All right, so I'm going to end the show now, and I'm going to wrestle with GitHub and see if I can figure it out. It's such a simple thing that I want. I saw some live streamer have it where chats would pop up. They'd be up there for a second, like 1 or 2 or however many are coming in at the moment. And then after a couple seconds, they would go away. Seems so simple, right? Well, you can't actually do that with YouTube's pop-out chat feature. So in order to do that, I'm trying to set up like a GitHub page. I don't freaking know, dude. I'm going to try to figure it out. Maybe that's just a Twitch thing. Maybe Twitch is good for that, but YouTube isn't. I don't know. But that is our show. Guys, if you just got here, I strongly suggest go back, watch part 1 of The Whisperer in Darkness, and then this stream finishes it off. And it was a really fun story. I'm going to keep my eye out for any more stories because just that was a lot of fun. And I would like to read more of them. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And I will keep my ear to the ground as well for any radio shows. Now, we are going to have another radio show for you on Monday with our good homeboy, Maddie from the Digital Minefield. And we'll be listening to a good episode. I haven't heard it yet before. Maddie had mentioned to me that he wanted to do a show on a specific episode that he had in mind. So that's what we're going to be doing Monday around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to look out for that one, guys. And until next time, Lil Ewok signing off. God bless. Good night. Hope y'all are going.